welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today we will be discussing a 3-0 Real Madrid win against Girona, a really good game in which we won pretty comfortably in the end. It was a struggle at the start, and I guess we're going to start there because I'm going to start with the negatives because there were quite a few negatives in that first half. That first half was actually quite poor, I thought. We had our build-up issues which we've been facing for quite a few games now. Athletic in the midweek was really bad in terms of build-up, and I'm really concerned about this. It's like, whenever there's a little bit of a press going on with the other team, then our build-up just completely just falls apart, and we struggle to break out of the press. And so that's something I'm a bit concerned about going into the coming weeks when we're gonna have to play Atalanta, and Atalanta will press us. I'm pretty damn sure that they're gonna press us. And Atalanta have been fantastic so far this season. They're gonna press us high. They're gonna make sure that we're gonna struggle. And so that's something I'm concerned about going into the next few weeks. In terms of a fix, I just don't know how we're going to fix it because, before it was very much our build-up was Toni Kroos and Toni Kroos only. Now we've got a bit of an issue because the guys that, who I think are the best at breaking us out of this, Jude Bellingham and Eduardo Camavinga, the two guys who come to mind. Well, if you got Jude Bellingham in that position, then you can't have him going forward, and we desperately need Jude Bellingham up front in those attacking positions, as well as him being defensive as well, him being in this build-up issues. And then obviously Camavinga's injured, so you got two big misses there. And so what's the solution? The solution is right now we're playing the double pivot. We played the double pivot of Valverde and Modric had a slow start to the game. He grew into it. He recovered his performance. His performance in the end was pretty good, and he was one of the best players on the pitch in the end. But in the first half, he did look like he was struggling. 20 minutes in, he looked like he was struggling, and so that is something I'm pretty concerned about. Is the fact that when we come up against even small pressures, we struggle, and that's something I'm going to talk about now because let's talk about Aurelien Tchouameni because he's been poor, right? He's been poor so far this season, and it doesn't look like it's getting better. In this game, though, he was deployed as a centre back by Carlo Ancelotti, and it makes me think, right? It makes me think that under Carlo, is this the future? Because last year he played as a centre back, and while this conversation was certainly entertained by a lot of people, I never really saw it as the permanent solution. But with his performance as a centre-back being actually quite good and his performance as a defensive midfielder being quite poor, it does make me think that maybe it's better for Tchouameni to transition to being a defender, a central defender in the future, right? And it kind of does, makes me think, right? Because Camavinga, Valverde and Bellingham are non-negotiables for me in that midfield from now on. I don't think, all three of them should be playing no matter what, right? We've obviously got our build-up issues, and it makes me think that we should have one extra midfielder in there. Someone who's a bit more comfortable on the ball, someone who's a bit more, a bit more of that press-resistant type. And I've looked at some options. The options include Zubimendi, and Zubimendi is definitely one of the guys who I've been looking at more often than not, because he elevates the level of his teammates more than a lot of other players. And he's a very, very damn good player. I really enjoy watching Martin Zubimendi, who, before I didn't really see it in him. I didn't see why everyone liked him so much, but, I think he's a fantastic player and someone who, if we were to bring him in, I think he would elevate the level of this team even more. So I think Zubimendi is definitely one I would look at. And another player who I looked at today, I wrote a scout report on him. So if you want to go check that scout report out, it will be in the description. So this guy called Tom Bischoff, who plays for Hoffenheim in the Bundesliga, he's 19 years old. He's not the finished article. He's more of a prospect for the future. But what I see in him is I see a young Toni Kroos, a guy who was at Leverkusen, the Toni Kroos at Leverkusen, who was a little bit more offensive, who's very, very creative in terms of his chance creation and his shot creation was really damn good. And what I see in Tom Bischoff is maybe not a guy who's some ridiculous volume passer, but a guy who's really smart with his passing, really creative, really good defensively as well. That's something to be said, is the fact that he's quite a monster actually defensively, which I did not expect to see. You know, when I looked up on his stats, he was in like top 5% at least, and then top 1% for tackles, which is like ridiculous. He's a central midfielder. You know, that's a fantastic thing for Tom Bischoff, and so that's something to consider, right? Bayern Munich are currently interested in him, but I would definitely look at him as a potential option. You know, for cheap, you know, cheap as chips. You know, what we talk about 10, 15, 20 million for Tom Bischoff, and I think that's a bargain, to be honest. He's playing fantastic football right now for Hoffenheim, and he's only 19, right? He's only going to get better from now, so I would definitely consider him. Like I said, Zubimendi already, but yeah, it's something to watch, right? The Tchouaméni to centre back, right? Is something to watch for the future. Another player I'd look at right now is Raul Asensio, who obviously didn't start this game. Listen, if Tchouaméni's going to play like this, then I don't have any opposition to him starting at centre back. It makes me then think about what's the role for Raul Asensio. I think the future is, I think, very soon, maybe next week. I don't know who we're playing next week. I'll have a quick look now. But, you know, next week, whoever we're going to play, I have a feeling that Raul Asensio might be deployed as a right back and tried as a right back, just to give that a go. You know, we're playing Rayo Vallecano, who's Rayo probably not going to test us too often. You know, we are going to Vallecas, so that is a difficult fixture. But, you know, I think Raul Asensio at right back would definitely be a lot more solid than Lucas Vázquez is right now. And Lucas Vázquez and Ferland Mendy, once again, another poor performance by both of them. Really not good at all. You know, every time they're under pressure, they give away the ball, and that's just not what we need from our right back and our fullbacks right now. So I would definitely test the Raul Asensio. And, you know, one more thing I would like to say. I said this to Sean yesterday. Unfortunately, Sean couldn't make it, as you can see, but yeah, I was talking to Sean, right, and saying maybe the 3-back is the way to go, because right now what I see in this team is an issue with our fullbacks. We've got 3 centre backs who are fantastic right now, who Tchouaméni, Rudiger, and Asensio. If we were to play a 3-back, we could then put Camavinga and Valverde as our wing backs, essentially, so that, you know, going in possession, we ultimately have everyone apart from 3 defenders playing like you know, playing in the offensive positions, helping us in our attacks. You know, we've got Camavinga and Valverde in those situations to help keep the width, but also playing in the midfield, trying to pack out that midfield whenever we need to. But then defensively, we then shift to a 5-back, right? And we go back to our standard 4, basically, with Camavinga and Valverde playing as the fullbacks. Ultimately, who we both know they can do that. We all know that they can do that. They both can play defensively very well. And, you know, one of the main concerns I had with Valverde as a right back against Liverpool was that he's so aggressive that, you know, sometimes it just takes 1-2 passes to get past him, right? And you don't want to play him one-on-one, but if you play a couple passes and you're around him, right? So if you've got that backup cover of, you know, Raul Asensio or whoever is going to play that position, I think it's pretty, you know, it's worth a go. Obviously, Ancelotti's probably not going to do that, because at this point it's not the time to be experimenting. But, you know, it's easy for me to sit here and say and come up with these wacky tactical ideas in my mind, but, you know, because at the end of the day I've got nothing to lose, right? But Carlo Ancelotti can't put these into practice, right? But I'm talking about in the future, because our fullback issue is really prevalent right now. I'm really down on all of our fullbacks right now. It looks like Alphonso Davies is probably going to renew with Bayern Munich at this point as well, so that's probably off the table. If we look at it, I don't want Ferland Mendy at this club anymore, to be honest. I'm not really excited about Fran Garcia either. So both of them aren't really, you know, I'm not looking at them so happy, but Yeah, I mean that's something, and then the other thing is obviously on the other side, Lucas Vasquez just not. Lucas Vasquez is finished at this point. He's totally cooked. His legs are cooked. You can tell he's just not playing well, and I don't see it getting any better at this point. So yeah, I think this is a way to mitigate the playing our fullbacks. The effects that our fullbacks can have. But also helps the midfield with the fact that we're going to play an extra midfielder, play these guys, make sure we can fit all of our guys into the team. And yeah, it definitely would help us. And if we were to play, let's just say a midfield of Julian Ceballos, right? Or, I'm saying that we're going to sign Julian Zubamendi, and then attacking midfielder of Rodrigo, and then a front of Vinny and Mbappe, right? So it gives us a little bit of flexibility in that thing, and it helps Jude. Takes a little bit of a workload off Jude in terms of the fact that he has to do so much running and making up for all of that. But yeah, I think that's something to consider. But speaking about Jude Bellingham, brilliant performance by him, really damn good, and it's a huge performance from him to pull that out of the stocks after a poor performance by the whole team against Athletic Club, and with the Athletic Club bringing off points off of us and Jude Bellingham being the only guy who was really looking good in that game, it helps that we get this win, and Jude Bellingham is the driving force behind it. He was fantastic, scored the goal, a really excellent, poacher's goal ultimately. Really excellent by him, but some excellent passing. That key pass to Mbappe where he just scuffed it wide. It was excellent by Jude Bellingham once again. His work rate was fantastic, constantly running. It's just like he is ultimately everything that we need. If we had two Jude Bellinghams, it would be absolutely perfect, because we could put one a little bit more reserved and then one further forward. But we don't. We've only got one Jude Bellingham, and he's having to do everything right now. To be fair to him, he's doing a fantastic job at doing everything. I can't knock him for that, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, we saw what happened in the end with his injury. He was called off the pitch. It's fine. It looks like he's fine for now. It looks like he's fine, and he will play against Atalanta, which is a huge relief, because if we didn't have a fully fit Vinny or fully fit Rodrigo or a fully fit Bellingham, I would have been really concerned going into that Atalanta game. I still am because Atalanta are playing excellent football, but it's really important for Jude to be fully fit. And speaking of the injuries, we obviously had a few more today. Mendy's now out for the next foreseeable future. Whatever you think about Mendy, it's just not good to take more defensive options away from us. We now are even thinner defensively, and it's not looking good. I mean, I wanted to talk to you one more thing about that defensive situation. Is David Alaba's coming back, and it looks like the reports are saying that he is not fully ready to be thrown into the heat. And I think for me, one thing I've considered is maybe switching a role for David Alaba, because the couple of things that we missed when David Alaba goes out are the fact that he's a fantastic progressor of the ball, and he's obviously a leader. What if we were to make a solution where we were going to put him in the defensive midfield position, where he doesn't have to be so mobile that he constantly has to get around. He's got other guys like Bellingham, Valverde, and Camavinga around him, but he can do all of the progressing stuff still. I'm sure he can. You don't just lose that because you get an ACL injury. I'm sure he can still do all of that in the defensive midfield role, where he doesn't have to be so mobile. He essentially takes the Toni Kroos role to an extent, right? And he does all of that, which is I think I like that. I like that possibility of him playing that role. Maybe it's another idealistic view of what could happen, but I don't mind that. We know he can do that role because he's played that for Austria so many times over the years. But I like it. I think it's a potential idea for Ancelotti to execute on. And obviously that then moves Schumann to the centre back role, and then you pursue that. But that's something you guys should go away and think about that David Alaba situation. A couple of more pointers before I end this episode. Modric, really good performance. I said this already. He was really good. I thought Kylian Mbappe. It was another poor performance by Kylian. He got a lot of chances. especially the one where he's one-on-one with Gazaniga and he went and messed up that chance. That should have been a goal, no doubt. But in the end, he did get a goal, which is a very well taken goal. I didn't expect him to score that, to be honest. Modric, fantastic pass to him with the outside of the boot with the Trivela, and Kylian Mbappe should have. That's the Kylian Mbappe that we know, and that's the Kylian Mbappe that we want. But we've seen so many glimpses, but you just never see the full product, and often or not, he's disappointing. So I'm not getting carried away at all by that goal from Kylian. I want to see a good performance against Atalanta. That's all I want to see, to be honest. If he gets bullied by all the Atalanta defenders, then we've got a bit of a problem, don't we? We've got a bit of a problem on our hands. Endrick also got hit in the head. It's not look good to see. I'm sure Endrick will be fine, but it's just an unpleasant one for him. To get kicked in the head is definitely not a nice one whatsoever, but I know Endrick will be okay. Then, what else have we got to say? Rudiger, once again, fantastic. Courtois, a couple of big saves he made. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say. So a lot of talk about Tchouaméni, a lot of talk about that future defensive midfield role. Like I said, if you guys want to read up about Tom Bishop, the link will be in the description. Go read about him. I think he's a fantastic talent. Otherwise, Zubimendi, think about what I said about Alaba as well. Someone who could potentially do that defensive midfield role for the rest of the season. And yeah, that is it. I hope you guys have enjoyed. We'll be back next week for the Rayo Vallecano game. Barcelona dropped points again. Thank God. After we messed up midweek, Barcelona dropped points against Betis. Betis managed to get a late winner, a late equaliser, I should say, with Asana Diao, with a fantastic finish it was. Now we're one game in hand against Barcelona, and we're 2 points behind. But you guys, just before I end this, have a look about Atleti, because they've got a game today. I'm not sure who it's against, so I'll have a quick look. It is against Sevilla, so I assume they're going to win that. Atleti have 2 games in hand over Barca. They're on 32 points, so if they were to win both of these games, let's say, then they're on 38 points, level with Barcelona. And if we were to win our game in hand, we'll be 1 point ahead of Atleti. So, a lot of people are thinking about just Barcelona, but this is very much a 3-horse race, and Atleti have definitely snuck up. So be careful, beware of Atleti, because if we keep on messing up and Barca keep on messing up, there's going to be a certain Diego Simeone that's going to be zooming past and trying to pick up those points. So that's the important thing. That's the last thing I had to say. And yeah, that is it for today. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.